Greetings, everybody. Welcome to episode 147 of the Masterclass. My name is Cam Brennan, and this week I am joined by, you guessed it, the one and only David Hogue, coming live to us from the land of Oz.
The magical place.
I thought I had it in me to wait a few episodes before referencing that again, but it sounds so cool.
Yeah, that's about all that's cool, Kansas.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you there.
No,
I
there's
lived there long enough to know.
yeah.
If at any point during this episode, listener, you hear a loud clapping or pounding noise, followed by the sounds of either disdain or victory, I have either missed the bug or finally slain my archenemy. There's a little bug flying around my office, and it's making me insane, and I cannot kill it. Didn't get it. Anyways, this is episode 147 of the masterclass, just in case you forgot that already. Dave, how are you, man? What's up? How's life?
I'm good. We've had lots and lots going on. So, my son had brain surgery last week.
No big deal.
No big deal. So that went well.
That's good to hear. Going well is always good.
Yeah, he's doing really well, and he has follow-up stuff here next couple weeks. So we are anticipating that, and I actually started a new job today.
Well, that was today. Oh, today is the 7th. Oh my, I'm the worst. I'm the worst friend on the planet. I didn't even realize today was the 7th until you just said that.
It's quite all right.
Well, how much do you want to tell on the show? And then you can tell me more after.
It first day, typical first day stuff. You go to HR, you
Sit alone in the lunchroom. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So actually, I got my boss bought me Chipotle, so I didn't have to eat alone in the lunchroom.
Oh,
But yeah,
very nice.
I have a fancy office, and I got fitted for new equipment and all kinds of fun stuff.
Is the equipment that you're using at your new precinct? I'm assuming it's called precinct or a new. What's the right
Department.
term? Department. Yeah, because there's just one department in this town.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is it similar to what you had in your previous location, or is it totally different?
Oh, it's very similar. It's very so. Um, I will not spend a majority of my time patrolling. Um, and so, um, my uniform, what I will wear most of the time is kind of a business casual, or it'll be a more formal police uniform versus, y- y-
Oh yeah.
the guys that are on the street doing the job will have like an external vest carrier and wearing ball caps and things like that. Whereas I will wear what I think people would think of as a traditional police uniform with I still will have brass
Hmm.
collar, collar brass and a badge and a brass name tag and a leather duty belt that, all that kind of stuff. Whereas everything else is kind of nylon and that. So my equipment is the same because even though my role is different, I won't. My old agency was more traditional in terms of what the patrol officers wore, still wear what I wore. Um, but my office uniform, and when I do go out on calls, will be more formal so that they kind of know that
The big cheese has arrived.
exactly. Yep. So,
Bow in my greatness, kiss my ring. Yes. That's exciting, dude. I'm very excited for you, and I feel like a terrible friend. I knew the date, and I totally blew it.
that's quite all right. And like I said, it's the first day, so there was not, everybody's really nice to you, and
Yeah, you haven't figured out which ones are the what's the phrase? The ones that deserve or need a little extra grace.
yeah. So, but yeah, I'm very excited about the opportunity, and it was. I think there's just yeah, a lot of opportunity. I think I already said that. So
Exciting.
yeah, how are things in your world?
Outside of this bug that's trying to get in my beverage right now, they're all right. I was in Dallas over the weekend, and all right, we left Thursday evening, and I remember checking the weather on like Tuesday for the upcoming weekend, kind of forgetting that I was leaving for Dallas in 48 hours. It's like, oh man, I got a lot to, I got a lot of stuff I got to get done. I wonder what it's going to be like outside. And check the weather. It's like high of like 66, low of like 42. And I'm like, yes, God is good. God is great. Fall is here. The leaves are starting to turn. And then I remember, oh yeah, I'm going to be in Dallas this weekend. It can't be that. Oh my gosh, it's going to be 93, a full 30 degrees warmer.
Oh my gosh.
It was hot. And so I was down there for a two work things. I work remotely, from my office here. But the people that I work for are based in Dallas, and then the main company headquarters is in Atlanta. So I went down there for that, and it was good. It was fun. I guess I enjoyed it, but I just was like, oh, I cannot believe it's 93 degrees somewhere in October.
Yuck.
And Dallas is like not, it's North Texas. What's it like in Houston or, Austin or San Antonio or I guess Austin's pretty central, but anyways, you get my point. It's October. It shouldn't be 93 degrees anywhere, that far from the equator. But people live there and they're giant houses.
Yes. Yep.
So I'm all right. I'm all right.
Good.
We should probably just jump right in because we got a bit of a longer passage today,
Okay.
and I think we're gonna have a bit to talk about. So, would you do the honors?
Sure. So we're looking at Romans 12, verse 9. I think it goes through 21. So bear with me as I read it aloud. Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal. Be fervent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Repay no one evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God, for it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. For by so doing, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good.
So I don't know what your first reaction to that is, but like my personality is usually when I'm given a bunch of rules to follow, I like get really annoyed that someone's telling me like how to live my life, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll follow your rules because I'm the firstborn and I'm a good rule follower.
Mm,
But so my first reaction usually is like, "You're not my mom, or you're not in charge." Okay, fine, I'll do your rules. But when you were reading that, I was like, "Man, this is like," I was actually like really encouraged by that,
oh,
and I know that I fall incredibly short on a lot of those things, and so usually my default would be to like get down on myself and beat myself up. But like it just as you were reading, it just felt like, wow, this is pumping me up. Like I have so much more room to grow and so much more to learn. But man, this is like I should read this every morning. Like that would be a great way to start my day. And that's an unusual reaction for me when I'm told how to live my life by somebody else.
mm-hmm.
So found that to be interesting and odd at the same time.
Sure. And I think that the kind of what to in simplest terms for what stands out to me is this. It's kind of even as I'm saying it, I have to laugh a little bit. It doesn't seem complicated when you on initial when you hear
Isn't that kind of the trick, right?
it. Yes,
A
and
lot of the stuff isn't that complicated. It's just not necessarily like the funnest or the most,
mhm,
uh, immediately satisfying stuff, right?
right. And then the other thing is I will certainly own this and say, I don't do it. Um, and again, I think there's an element of I don't do it, but I don't hear it and go, "Oh, I could never do that." Um, I go, "Well, that's pretty easy. I mean, that's why is it so difficult for me?" And then I think too, um, if I could paint with a broad brush, I don't feel like I see a lot of this in those of us who claim to be Christians today. I feel like the verse that stood out to me is, um, as far if possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. And I certainly don't feel like I see that in much of what I see going on in the world.
Right to hell, whatever could you mean by that, Dave?
Sounds like a setup there.
No, I would never set you up or put you on the spot. That's not what I do at all.
So, uh, as I was sharing with you before we hit the record button was, for those of you who haven't figured it out, I am in law enforcement. I am a police officer, and I've been one for 17 years, and um, I would consider myself somebody that desires to do what Jesus calls us to do, what God has created us to be in terms of this life. And um, there are certainly a lot of things that I struggle with and I wrestle with, and but recently, um, in the news was a story of a female police officer in Dallas who, a year ago, went to the wrong apartment. She was a floor above hers, and when she got there, um,
She was trying to go to her
she
home
was trying.
apartment,
Yeah,
right?
I'm sorry. She was trying to go to her
Okay.
home apartment. Yeah, she noticed the door was ajar, and that raised her suspicion. She went in. When she went into the apartment, there was a black male inside the apartment, and basically she drew her duty weapon, started giving him
And the officer is a white female,
a
right?
white female, yeah,
Okay.
started giving him orders, and he continued to approach her. And as he continued to approach her, she ended up shooting him and killing him. She was tried with She was tried with murder, tried for murder. She was tried for murder. She was found guilty, given 10 years, a 10-year sentence, which I think she's a bit up for eligible for parole in 5 years. Um,
That's insane to me, but we'll talk about that in a
it
second.
is insane, but the thing I will say is that's fairly common doing
In
10,
murder cases?
doing less than 10 years. Yeah.
Really?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, we can talk,
In
yeah.
this day and age, that I would say, yeah, that's fairly common. So, as she was being sentenced, the brother of the victim, um, I don't know. I guess they have an opportunity to address the family, and the brother of the victim basically told her that he forgave her, shared the gospel that she needed Jesus, which is absolutely true, um, and then requested if he could hug her, and so he hugged her, and she cried, and one of the things I will say through this whole thing is she has been very remorseful for what happened, even from the minute she realized that she was in the wrong apartment, it was very clear that she was just distraught over the entire thing. And then the second thing that occurred was the judge, who was a black female, actually came down from the bench and gave the woman a hug, and then also gave her a Bible. And as I've seen the commentary about this on social media, it has been a very divisive topic in
Hmm.
that, um, and again, I'm gonna kind of be general, but not completely general because I think this is fair in terms of who I saw saying what. White evangelicals in particular seem just overly joyed about the idea of the gospel being presented and uh, the message of forgiveness, and that's what Jesus would want to have happen. At the same time, I've noticed that those in the African American community, that people of color have basically been disturbed over the quickness with which the forgiveness was given, and that it plays into this larger narrative of um, people of color have feel like they have been forced over the story, over our history in this country, to be quick to forgive, to kind of um, be submissive, to be, in this place of, and I'm sure I'm not doing it justice, so I apologize. And if somebody would like to use a better um, phraseology or identifying what this is, of just that, um, it felt a little too quick.
Hmm.
It felt a little too, um, because she's white, because she's female, um, kind of being let off easy, and that there's an injustice being done when we forgive so quickly and so quickly allow her to kind of, you know, be forgiven, I guess. That it undermines what white privilege, actually does to people in this country. It undermines
Yeah.
that 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 there are other bigger issues, and obviously we have things like Black Lives Matter, which um, I don't necessarily agree with the organization or the movement, but I understand the concept, or I can appreciate the concept, or I'm sure anybody that's listening is like, thanks for the favor there, Dave. Of, but I don't completely disagree that it does seem like, well, I'm not going to even say that. I agree that you can point to things in our history that would indicate that Black lives do not have the importance that white lives have in our country. So,
I think that's a given.
anyway, this, like I said, on the surface, it seems really easy um, to say hold fast to what is good. And I think in again, I think we would come up with a very long list of things that we all agree on what is good. But I guess I'm just intrigued. I'm wanting to learn. I want to know more about those things that maybe traditionally I have held as good, thought were good things, and um, maybe the lens that I view those things through could be adjusted. So,
Yeah, totally agree with that last part there. And it goes back to something that you said repeatedly on the show. Like, what do I think that I have right that I actually have wrong?
mhm,
So how can I learn from my experience, right, of my life and how God has chosen to act in my life, but then how can I broaden that perspective and that view with, information and relationships with other people that have lived completely different lives than I have.
mhm.
And that broadens our perspective about God and about humans and about, life and all. And that's, yeah, 1,000,000%. I do want to go back and talk about that story a little bit though, because that's crazy. I mean, I my first thought is, how do you not know you're in someone else's apartment? But I realize, intellectually, not necessarily experientially, not even definitely not experientially. As an officer, the second I'm assuming, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the second she thinks someone has broken into her apartment, she goes into full on defense mode, right?
Mhm.
And so I think it's easy to judge and say, oh, there's not the right pillows or there's not the right painting or the couch is in a different spot, right? But like I would imagine if you assume that someone has broken into your apartment and you're an officer, like if someone's broken into my apartment, I'm just going the other direction and calling the cops, right? Because I don't have the training.
Mhm.
So I imagine this particular officer was like, okay, well, I know what I'm doing, so I'm going to go in and figure it. And anyways, so that was my first thought. And I thought, okay, that's a dumb thought to have because that doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't bring this guy back. It doesn't, explain what per se what happened. But 10 years for an innocent guy's life seems not okay.
I would agree.
And like I get that it was an accident, right? And that she was mistaken, but an innocent guy died in his own home.
Exactly.
Did nothing wrong.
Right.
I mean, you can nitpick whether he should have walked towards her or not, but that doesn't change the fact that he died innocent in his own home, trying to figure out why this person had a gun pointed at him.
Right.
Like, just, oh my gosh, that's heartbreaking. It's terrible. Um, and is it good that this officer was remorseful? Yeah, of course, obviously, but that doesn't change what happened, right?
No. Oh,
Is it?
no.
And I've never had anyone in my life murdered. I've had people in my life die, but not, for that reason. So I'm walking in, I'm speaking about things that I don't know. So, whatever I say, please take with that in mind. Um, but I do want to address the part of that story where you said that the brother shared the gospel with this officer and then gave her a hug, and then the judge came down and she gave her a Bible. And I get the response of the white evangelicals in this sense of like, yay, this is good. This is what forgiveness should be. This is how it should look. Great for those people, especially the brother. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, if someone murdered my sister, one of my sisters, in their apartment, there's not a chance on the planet that in the moment in the courtroom, I would have the, barring an act of God, right? That I would have the desire to share the gospel with the person that killed my sister. I'd be like, God, strike them dead now.
Hmm.
No, better yet, make them suffer in prison for 70 years. Oh, wait, it's only a 10-year sentence. Okay, yeah, just kill them now. Cause what's the point, right? Like I would, and so I, when I see how the brother acted in that situation, it encourages me because that's a person doing an incredibly hard thing, right? Like we talked about how this passage is like, oh, well, that's kind of easy just to do the right thing. This guy did the right thing in an incredibly difficult situation and time. And that should be commended.
Mhm.
And that should be an example to all of us. His brother was murdered and he was able to do this. How about like maybe I don't flick off the person who steals my parking spot at the the grocery store? There's a good step forward, right?
Right.
But like it should be commended because it's an incredible example of God's love and mercy and grace and forgiveness impacting people in a real time, in a real place, in a horrible scenario.
Mhm.
You know, I wish God that sort of stuff happened more in courtrooms because if there's any place that people need Jesus, it's in a courtroom and in a funeral home, right? Where
Right.
they need to understand that there's more to all of this. And so, but at the flip side, I see to a certain extent the African American uh, response that you said you saw on Twitter, right?
Mhm.
Oh, this is just white people being happy that a white person got forgiven.
Mhm.
And again, like I get that because if the tables were turned and a black officer walked into a white person's apartment that they thought was theirs and murdered the white person, would how would that shake out? Now we can't predict the future, but we can look at the past and go, it probably would not have shaken out this way.
Mhm.
They probably maybe they get 10 years. Probably more, right? But maybe they're an upstanding officer and they make one like you play this what if game, but the point is when this happens and the white evangelicals go, "Yay, hurrah, woohoo, forgiveness is good, yay." Would they be that excited and that vocal if it was a black person being forgiven in the same situation?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, now don't get me wrong, if it was a white person doing the forgiving, they'd be like, "Yay, we like black people. See, we're not awful." And I just there's so many sides to this
right. Oh,
and so
yeah.
many like it's like just the more you look at it, the more because then there's the whole, well, should this is too forgiveness is too quick here. And I want to be like, no, forgiveness is never too quick. But at the same time, I get, I think, I mean, again, I'm a white guy, so I don't have the context that a lot of the people that you were seeing this said from have, right? I just don't, I can't have it. I didn't grow up that way. I don't live that, that life. But we can't look at someone sharing the gospel with someone in a broken person in a broken position and say, "Ah, that's too quick." There's not like there's not a shelf life on forgiveness, right? Like it should happen immediately because that's what God does.
Mhm.
That's what God has called us to. So you can still forgive, but still be able to press on with the cause of bringing equality to places where it doesn't exist. Those are not two separate things or
No.
two opposite things. A black man can forgive a white woman for murdering his brother and not sacrifice the hard work that that black folks are doing to ensure in the future that black people have equal standing, equal opportunity in education and in life. Those two things should go together. They should not be opposite, right? Where God goes, the push for equality and equal representation and human, like all of that stuff should go together. And so when I see someone saying, we can't be that quick to forgive, we need to see justice. You can have forgiveness and justice in the same, like God is big enough to handle forgiveness and justice at the same time and to let forgiveness lead the way for justice to come.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be the other way around. I don't
Mhm.
know. Sorry, I just talked for like 10 minutes straight. But it matters so much, and how we phrase things matters. And
Yeah. So and again, I'm not I guess I'm kind of okay with being at this place of just I don't have the answer. It's making me realize um that I view the world through a certain lens and again, just as we talk about this verse of well, it's titled Marks of the True Christian. And so um I think sometimes well, I think frequently there's an idea of what words mean to different people. And so
mm, yeah,
and just things like rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer. And I just wonder how many people reads, the phrase be patient in tribulation, and their tribulation is, their cell phone doesn't work. Um, their idea of tribulation is, for that matter, it could be a huge inconvenience. Their idea of tribulation is their car didn't start today. And it's like, okay, as frustrating as that is, and it can surely affect your day and have an impact on your job and things like that, is that really tribulation? And um or even the idea of bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse them. um I've always had a hard time with the term persecute, because, and I think we've talked about this on the show before, of I don't think I've truly ever been persecuted.
Yeah.
Not what that word uh really means. Um, so yeah, and I again, I think another thing I just seem to come across a lot with Christians is this idea of God will always bless you. You know, if you're seeking Him and you're trying to be good and you're doing the right things, that your life will always be blessed. And when I say blessed, what I mean is material things and your comfort and
Yeah, no, the Bible contradicts that about 75 times.
right. And so, but again, I still think I feel like I have experienced in the church that's what people that's I I've heard it preached. I've heard that said. And and so I don't know. I don't want to beat a dead horse on this, but it just really is um such a complex, as simple as it is so complex. And I'm trying to kind of take a step back and realize that, and I'm being a little tongue in cheek with some of my examples, but I know have taken these words probably not to mean what Paul intended when he was writing to Christians in the early church who truly were being persecuted, who truly did have tribulations that I can't understand. And then, for that matter, people that live in our world today that have not had the same life that I have had. Um, and again, I don't think I need to apologize for who I am. I don't think I even need to um, do things differently, but maybe just be more conscious of um, what the deeper meaning is of this.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, this is. I'm gonna have to spend some more time with this passage over the next, days and weeks, because it really is just such a good, solid reminder, of what is important and what is not important, how to treat people.
yeah, and again, this idea of, in verse 16, it says, "Live in harmony with one another." And I'm not overly vocal about people that disagree with me or have a different ideology than me, but I certainly don't strive to live in harmony. I mean, I don't think I pursue that. I think I simply have more of it. Well, I have the ability to just sort of go, well, fine, I don't need you in my life. Like, I'm just, if we don't agree, and then instead of making an effort to live in harmony, I'm just not going to engage with you. I'm just going to ignore you. I'm gonna,
Yes, it is better to love you from afar than to hate you from close, David.
hmm
Well, that was interesting discussion.
sure.
I'll take that as a no. No, it wasn't, Cam.
Yes, it was. No,
Sure.
I would love to hear from people that disagree with us or one of us or both of us, you know?
Oh, yeah. I would say because we broached not because we talked about what race and forgiveness and the gospel and reconciliation and real stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like real life stuff and stuff that matters and stuff that is gonna, you know, based on how we handle it with this generation is gonna shape the next two generations to come on how racial reconciliation happens and how like relations, police to civilian and white to black and Hispanic and just like it there's so much there that we talked about that we just kind of like danced on top of. There's it's such a deep well and there's so much that I know I can learn from other people about this because I know that my experience is my experience, right? But it's limited to what I went through. And what I went through is different because I grew up as an upper middle class white kid in a nice suburb.
Mhm.
And that doesn't make me a monster. And it doesn't mean that I did not experience real pain, but it means that I saw a sliver of life.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that sliver of life is real to me, but it is not the whole pie. And I am hungry to learn more about the rest of the pie. And I've been blessed in my experience to gain perspective into other parts of it, but there are still some gaping holes that I would really, really, really want to learn about. And so if there was ever a time where you thought, man, I these guys, they missed this or they screwed this up, or I have such a different take on this, this is the time to share it because this is the time where we can share those different slices of the pie with each other and hopefully all gain a better perspective on what it means to be alive and what it means to be a follower of Jesus now
Mhm.
when all this stuff is happening. So that was way more long-winded than I want it to be. The whole point is this is a prime opportunity for people to call in and share. Call in on the number in the show notes, leave a voicemail, or email us. That link is in the show notes, or you can tweet at Dave, or you can find me on Instagram. Not to like follow me. I don't want to like that's. It's not about that. It's just about connection. So whatever way you feel most comfortable connecting with us, that's the goal. It's not to boost follower counts because that's stupid. It's about meeting people and building relationships and connecting. So, however you want to do that, you are henceforth invited to do so.
And please do.
Yeah, like I said, it's meeting new people is great. So we like it.
Yes.
Um, that's most of the business. The second part of the business is show notes. Supermegacorp.net/masterclass/147. Or if you're listening on your phone or tablet or computer, you already know where the show notes are. They're right there. And if you don't see them, just swipe or scroll. You'll find them. They'll be there. I promise. Any parting thoughts, David?
I think my parting thought is, um, talking about it, or maybe more accurately, just posting on social media about it is not enough. Um,
I'm laughing because I agree. Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, my thought is I think those things all have its place because it post on social media caused me to kind of, take a different look. But ultimately, it comes down to, um, making a difference, making a change, um, getting ourselves out of our comfort zone and, not just kind of preaching from behind the screen, but actually engaging with other people and
Yeah, it is so much more about connecting with people and learning and sharing and showing grace with people in real life, right?
mhm,
Than it is about being a keyboard warrior
yeah.
and having all these hot takes online, that get you lots of likes from people that think the same as you do. Well, congratulations. Like, right? Oh, you fear God? Oh, so do the demons, right? Like, whoop de freaking do. You got people that agree with you liking your stuff. That's great. Fantastic. But what's more valuable is being able to sit across the table from someone who disagrees with you completely and leave the conversation as friends,
Yes, yes,
right?
absolutely.
That is a skill that we are losing. And as much as Dave and I agree about a lot of stuff, that does not mean that me and him are not looking to learn from people who disagree with us.
Yep.
It just so happens that Dave and I agree a lot.
Yes.
Honestly, and that was never the goal,
No.
right? Like that doesn't make good content per, the rules, right? You got to have two people that like, hate each other on these things, but like we really like each other, which is why we talk. But yeah, I'm just going to stop talking now because I still am not good at podcasting, Dave.
Yes, you are.
Anyways, I think we're gonna call that little tumble there the end of the show.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Thanks. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Dave. I forgot. So you remember last week how we talked we asked people if they had listened to all the shows or at least 100 shows to let us know.
Uh-huh.
Somebody let us
Oh,
know.
wow.
One Nicholas Coates, the best man in my wedding, and I was the best man in his wedding. So he's holding it steady, has listened to every single
Oh,
episode of the
wow.
master class. He has a She Bears t-shirt. That's how long he's been around.
That's very cool. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, so Nick, my long-standing friend from college and hence, forth through the rest of I don't who says henceforth, Dave? The point is, we said last episode that if you had listened to all the episodes or at least 100 of them to let us know because we wanted to show you some love and do something special for you. So Nick let us know that he's listened to 146 of the previous 146 episodes, which is unbelievable.
Yes.
So Nicholas, you already know this. You're a wonderful man. They just had their third kid and his first son a couple months ago.
Congratulations.
So he is, thick in the throes of three children at this point. But dude, I appreciate it. You're awesome. Love you very much, and we'll do something cool for you.
I agree.
So that being said, if anybody else wants to join that elite club, let us know.
Yes.
All right. Until next time, be good.
Bye.
Bye.